Hello there, you're welcome back to Biology with the Lectures with Akirili Oladimiji Philip. It's my pleasure to have you with me. Like I always say, please try and get your writing materials to jot down points and also try to attempt the question before you get to listen to what my answers or what my explanations will be. All right. Now, which of the following is most advanced in the evolutionary trend? Well, liver fluke, earthworm, snail, and cockroach. Amongst these four, the one that has the most advanced, let me say, the nervous system or nervous coordination, so to say, and other system will be the snail, which makes it to be the answer. All right. Now, looking at this here, we have vertebrate. Let me bring that in a little. I don't know if that's not so blur. Then, so it is believed that the mollusk has a very, much of advancement. The next one that has higher advancement will be the echinoderms. Actually, these ones too also have a lot of advancement too, really. But other ones, apparently, their level of coordination amongst the vertebrates, invertebrates, I mean to say, is quite low. All right, so that's why we have the snail as being the answer here. Which of the following is the lowest category of classification? Well, if you can remember this: kingdom, phylum or division, or class, order, family, genus, then species. All right, so the smallest one down here is species, which makes B correct. All right, so as you just move from here downwards, that's like the lowest hierarchy of classification, as it were. Now it says here, plants that show secondary growth are usually found among the cotyledons. Cotyledons. Do I say cotyledon? Dicotyledons, please. Organisms or plants, I mean to say, that have plants that show secondary growth are usually found among the dicotyledons. All right. Let me take it all the way. Plants that show secondary growth are usually found among the dicotyledons, like the dicots. Basically, they are the ones that actually undergo secondary thickening. Now, for you to have secondary thickening, there are some structures you need to have. So here, basically, you can see, you might want to pause the video anyways. This is, let me show you that a little. So there are two major things that bring about secondary thickening, which is vascular cambium and cork cambium. Those two really are the ones that create wood. So when you see a wood, anytime you've seen a furniture in your homes, in your offices, and anywhere you are, those furnitures were made from dicots, because it's only dicot that the trunk can actually get that thick, that hard to form wood, which we use in furnitures in different places. All right, so that is what secondary growth is about. Secondary thickening. We can also refer to it as secondary thickening. So you can pause the video here to see that. Now see how thick this particular one is. Really, that's how hard secondary thickening or secondary growth can mean. All right, it says here the fungi are a distinct group of eukaryotes, mainly because they have because they have spores. Why? They don't have chlorophyll, truly. The answer is A. They don't have chlorophyll. But the reason why we didn't work with that isn't correct, is because they are not the only ones that doesn't have chlorophyll. So that doesn't make them distinct. Animal cells don't have chlorophyll, so you can't use that. Now, when we say spores, why? Whether they use sexual reproduction or they use asexual reproduction, they will always produce spore. That makes them distinct. All right. So spore is like It doesn't mean when they use sexual reproduction they will still produce spore in both ways. All right. Now, an arthropod that is destructive at early stage of its life cycle is, okay, well, the larval stage of butterfly is caterpillar. Please, sorry, that's not so clearly written. The larval stage of mosquito is wriggler, which we find in water. The last stage of bee is called grub, which doesn't really affect anybody really. Millipede, I'm not so sure about that. But among these three, caterpillar, which is option A, is the one that tends to eat the leaves of crops and all of that. So that is destructive to farming. I think I mentioned that in one of the other videos we've solved together. All right, so the answer is butterfly. So this is what you have here. This is a caterpillar eating the leaf there, and you can actually, if you have a lot of this plant will end up dying out because the leaves that photosynthesize is already been eaten. Now, which of the following possesses mammary gland? Well, mammary glands are found in mammals. That's why they are named that way. So dogfish, whale, shark, and catfish. Whale is actually a swimming mammal. Yes, they have mammary gland. That sounds fun. Like, how do they do that in the water? Yes, they do. Probably the babies, we actually feed on the, we probably drink some water alongside with when it's taking the breast milk. So you can see what I mentioned here. So whales are mammals that have mammary gland. All right. Now, the feather that links bird to reptiles in evolution, the feature that links birds to reptiles in evolution is the possession of scales. Yes. Now, the answer is going to be scales. What do I mean? Now, it is believed that, reptiles are less advanced to birds, or let me say birds are more advanced to reptiles. And reptiles have scales all over their body. So according to evolution, it is believed that the remaining scales that were on reptiles were left on the legs of birds, really. So it's like a continuity, but it's not as more as they have. They now have feathers to actually create some sort of covering for them, not just so the remains of scales on the feet or on the legs of birds is an indication of evolution. All right, so always remember mammals, mammals, chordates. We have Pisces, which are fishes. We have amphibians or amphibia. We have reptiles. We have aves, which are birds. Then we have mammals. So I used to call it param, like param, P-A-R-A-M. So as you move this way, the organisms are becoming more advanced. So it means that reptiles. So the reptiles really have the scales on them, while birds still have a little remain of scales on the feet. Now, there's this question you can see that will say which of the chordates or chordata is the first to step on land. The answer is going to be amphibians. They are the first to actually come on land, but they didn't stay there. They actually had to go back to the water to reproduce, while reptiles are the first to conquer or to be able to stay longer on land. Now, bear in mind, it doesn't mean we don't have reptiles that lives in the water. All right, that doesn't. So, but the point is believed that reptiles are actually the ones that have more ability to stay without water, even for reproduction. Of course, aves and mammals don't stay in water, except for some few ones. So that's what I normally tell students. There are exceptions to some of those things, really, but we work with the majority. That's how classifications are made. That's how features are given. All right. So moving on. Now, the counter shade is an adaptive feature that enables animals to. Counter shade is one of the ways animals hide themselves, remain undetected. So the answer is going to be remain undetected. But let me try to show you what counter shading means. When you probably look at some animals, fishes really, and not fishes alone, but I think some mammals also exhibit that in their holes. Now, when you have the upper part of the fish, as you can see it here, is quite dark if you've gone for fishing before. So this upper part is always darker. So when you look at the fish from above, it blends with the water. So it's when it's stable, it's not moving. Some of us that probably have gone for fishing when we're much younger might have noticed this. So you would see, you probably just see, you won't be able to see the fish until it moves, or you have to stay longer. So it helps them to stay undetected. All right, so that's a way, that's the feature that helps them to do. Now it says here, in the mammalian reproductive system, the part that serves as a passage for both urine and semen is the what? Okay, it is actually the urethra. Yes, the mammal, the humans only have the penis that has urethra through it, and that's what is used for urination, and that's what's also used to pass out semen. This question can also tell you that which of these following is used for reproduction and for excretion. It means the same thing. So reproduction means it's passing out semen. Excretion means it's passing out waste product, which is urine, so to say. But for females, really, females have urethra, which is only for urination, and vagina for reproduction, for receiving semen and all of that. So really, they don't work. The urethra for female is only for urination or excretion, and vagina is for reproduction. While for in males, it is for both for reproduction by passing out semen, and urination or excretion by passing out urine. Now let me quickly see it here. Probably you heard what is the meaning of semen. Well, semen is sperm cells plus fluids from seminal vesicle, fluids from prostate gland, and some extent fluid from bulbourethral gland, which you can also called Kappa's gland. So it means the fluids here plus sperm cells forms your semen. All right. Now, in plants, which of the following is required in minute quantities for growth? Well, we have something called macronutrients and micronutrients. So, or non-essential nutrients. So the ones that are non-essential are actually the micronutrients, and that is copper here. So you really need it in small quantity for it to grow, really. And the absence does not show on time. But these other three are called macro or essential nutrients. Which of the following organisms is both parasitic and autotrophic? Parasitic means that it can actually affect the host plant. It sucks the nutrient of the host plants, while autotrophic means it can also make its food. Now, sundew is carnivorous, rhizopus is actually a fungi, tapeworm is a parasite in animals, and it's never autotrophic. So the answer we are left with is Loranthus. It's a type of plant that looks like this. So this is the plant. It can actually photosynthesize and also grow on another plant and suck the nutrient of that plant. So that's why it is parasitic as well as being autotrophic in nature. All right. Now, the function of the hydrochloric acid produced in the human stomach during digestion is to neutralize the effect of bile. Well, bile is never in the stomach in the first place. Coagulate milk? No. And emulsify fats? No. Coagulating milk is done by renin. Emulsify fat is done by bile in the duodenum. Stop the action of thiolin. Break up food into smaller molecules. It's actually C. Stop the action of thiolin. Thiolin is the enzyme in the mouth, and amylase. Amylase are enzymes that digest carbohydrate. So it's an amylase that is found in the mouth that digest cooked starch into maltose. Now, bear in mind that any maltose, sorry, I mean not maltose, I mean amylase basically prefer to work in an alkaline medium. All right, so of which the mouth is alkaline in nature. Now, if that is correct, it means that proteins prefer acidic medium. So when the food gets to the stomach, the digestion of protein starts because the stomach is acidic in nature. That will help to kickstart the effect of protease in the stomach, which is pepsin, and stop the action of thiolin, which is an amylase in the mouth. All right, so there's no digestion of carbohydrate in the stomach, while there's digestion of protein in the stomach. All right, moving on. Now it says here, which of the following is a polysaccharide? Which of the following is a polysaccharide? Well, this is a monosaccharide, disaccharide, then cellulose is your answer. This is your answer here. D, cellulose is a polysaccharide. Other polysaccharide you have will be starch, will be glycogen, will be chitin. All right. In the kidney of mammals, the site of ultrafiltration is what? Now hear this quickly, please. This is the nephron apparently, and it is within the nephron that we have ultrafiltration. Ultrafiltration is one of the stages of forming urine. So after ultrafiltration, the next stage is tubular reabsorption. Then the next one is tubular secretion. So these three processes helps to form urine. Well, that's by the way. Now, so this is called Bowman capsule, uniferous tubule, and all of that. Well, uniferous tubule is what I'm just circling. That's not where we have filtration. But filtration takes place here between the Bowman capsule, which I'm just highlighting out, and the glomerulus. What I just circled within is the glomerulus. So if I draw that in a simpler way like this, all right, so this is the glomerulus. Then this is the Bowman capsule surrounding it there. So the answer is going to be Bowman's capsule. All right, so Bowman's capsule. So the blood comes in that way and is filtered here, and the continuous journey. So what we have here is unfiltered blood, then it becomes filtered blood. So urine is formed here. I believe you know that during ultrafiltration, that's when urine is formed. Anyway, I already said that here. So by the time you're done, so what happens is we are filtered into this place as as urine. So as it's going like that, there's some other process that takes place, which is tubular secretion and reabsorption. This one is going straight to the bladder, where it is being removed from the body. Bowman's capsule is the answer. Now, which of the following is involved in secondary thickening in plants? Well, we had this in one of the questions earlier on, and I think probably you chose vascular cambium and cork cambium. So this is what these are the vascular cambium. So you can say thickening. That's what forms wood. Vascular cambium, that's formed by xylem and phloem, really like in a hard way, majorly, especially xylem, really. So then cork cambium. All right. So this is another diagram showing you how it is vascular cambium and cork cambium. You can see how hard, especially this outer part, is your cork cambium, really. All right. It says here an example of a fruit that develops from a single carpel. is okay, that would be your bean develops from a single carpel. Actually, these other ones develop from syncarpous pistil. Let me tell you what that means. Now, a single carpel means just like you have something like this. This is the stigma, style, and ovary. While we have when I say this, so this is called monocarpous pistil, monocarpous. While for okra, orange, and tomato, what you have is something that looks like this. Monocarpous pistil. What I'm going to do, something like you have this an ovary, another ovary, another ovary, like that. So this is a carpel, another carpel, another carpel, like so. We call this syncarpous pistil, which means two or more carpels fused together. So these other three are from them, but while bean is from a monocarpous pistil. All right. Now let me say this here. Probably you might ask me. Let me go back to that question. How do you know fruits that have segments actually monocarpous pistil, like your orange? If you probably open your orange, or most of the citrus fruits we have, you have segments that people eat like that. So each of those segments represents an ovary. All right. So it says here, plant growth can be artificially stimulated by the use of gibberellin. All other ones are some sort of growth inhibitors in a way. So gibberellin or auxin. Auxin is not here, but gibberellin will still do some growth job, really. All right. The autonomic nervous system consists of neurons that control. Now, when you say autonomic nervous system, it's talking about from the word auto, like self. So it controls automatic functions, involuntary functions that we're not aware of, and that will be heartbeat. The heartbeat is not controlled by anybody, so that is why it controls. That's why it's called autonomic. It controls heartbeat. It controls lungs, breathing. Ventilation, basically. All right. The water cycle is maintained mainly by evaporation in the environment, evaporation and condensation of water in the environment, condensation of water in the environment. Okay, then transpiration and respiration in plants. Well, what really sustains the water cycle is actually evaporation and condensation in the environment, which means that so when water evaporates like that into the atmosphere, then of course it gets there, it condenses, then it precipitates down this way. All right, so basically you can see evaporation, condensation, really, even from plants, from all the water bodies, so from the river, from your can of water, from the water you poured out. So all of that evaporates up there, condenses, then comes down as rain. All right, so you might pause the video to see this the more. Plants of temperate origin can be grown in tropical area zone tropical area in the vegetation zone of. Now basically when you say temperate means a temperature that is not too hot really and not too cold. Like okay, let me say it's actually a bit hot but not extremely hot, so to say. So it's saying it here that okay, which area here can you, and you say when you say tropical is like the area whereby you have like wetness actually, or that you have lesser temperature there. All right, so the Guinea savanna here. If rainforest is wrong, because rainforest is totally tropical, really, like you have more rainfall and all of that. But when you say Guinea savanna is dry, but there's a part of Guinea savanna that is exhibits some sort of lesser temperature, not extremely hot, because really the likes of Sudan savanna are very hot. So I told you that temperate means something not extremely hot, so to say. So you can actually grow the plant that will survive here in the tropical area of Guinea savanna. So your answer is B. Organisms living in an estuarine habitat are adapted to what? The question you ought to ask yourself is, what is estuarine habitat? Well, we have three types of aquatic habitat. We have the marine, which is salty. We have the fresh water, which is salty, which means it is no salinity at all. Salinity means saltiness, so this means this one has high salinity, this one has no salinity. While estuarine has mixture of the two. How? Estuarine is always formed when you have marine water, which is salty, meets with a fresh water, which is not salty. So this area where they met is called estuarine habitat, and the water that we form there is called brackish. I hope I got that spelling right. Brackish. So brackish is the water you form in an estuarine habitat. Some book actually call it or brackish, or you can say estuarine or brackish. All right. So don't forget that estuarine is formed by the two. Where river. Okay, good. So this is some rivers coming here. This is sea here. So around this region where they meet is going to be a mixture of the two. So that means animals that will survive there must be able to do what? Withstand wild fluctuation in temperature, no. Survive only water with low salinity, no. Wild fluctuation in salinity, yes. That's our answer. So that means when they swim towards this side, or when the water from here comes here, they must be able to still stay alive. And when the water around the river comes, the normal fresh water comes, they must be able to also stay alive in both of that. All right. The presence of slit roots, pneumatophores, which means breathing roots, sucking stomata, and salt glands are adaptive features of plants found in the mangrove swamp. Actually, mangrove swamp is the one that contains, yes, these are breathing roots. All right, this is an area that has, sometimes they actually have salt in them. Now, what salt gland does is it helps, it's majorly on the leaves, it helps to neutralize, or help to balance or regulate salt in this water for animals to live in. All right, so and also helps the plant itself. This is a very interesting thing. These roots, those leaves that have that salt glands really helps to pump. There's a way it's actually taking salt into its body like that helps to prevent too much of salt in there. Now, so the pneumatophores actually breathing roots so that air can, because you know what happened is the root of the plant also needs oxygen. So what happened is, so that's why some of them come out there that actually have some little holes in them, so to say, helps them to breathe with their roots. So pneumatophores really is actually like a breathing root, so to say, and it's found in mangroves, and majorly white mangroves anyways. So this is another one. You can see the roots in the water and some actually outward that way. All right. Now, which of the following animals can exist solely on the water they live from food and metabolic reactions? Well, that would be desert dwellers. All right, that's option B. Animals that stays in the desert are the ones that will have to do that. Other ones can access water in one way or the other. All right. Now, the most likely first colonizer of a bare rock is light chain, which you are seeing on the screen. These are light chain. So you probably will tell me, what is a light chain? Light chain, so the answer is C. Or is it, it's called light chain. Some people call it lead chain. Either way, that's the spelling. Now, light chain is made up of algae and fungi. All right, so the two of them helps to stay here. Now, the reason why, because here, this is if you have learned about succession, the rock is hard, no soil, so to say. So what happened is the algae helps to photosynthesize, all right, while the fungi helps them to stay. It's like the fungi helps them to attach to the surface. So the fungi is always like that there. Then the fungi is, the fungi is always like that, while the algae is inside the fungi, exposed to the sunlight that way. So this is actually a mutualism or a mutualistic kind of relationship. How they are both benefiting. How they're benefiting, the algae makes food for both of them, while the fungi protects both of them in the harsh weather condition. All right, so this is always the first way, because in succession you are trying to convert this rock over years, thousands of years, into soil. So who will start up the process will be the light chain. After some time, the way the light chain is growing and all of that, there will be some little soil that will be formed over a long period of time. Like I said, some other plants will come in, plants that can actually stay on harder grounds, soil like that, or that little soil. Then afterwards, some other ones will come till you have a normal soil, which is going to take, I don't want to go ahead and start explaining succession, really. You might want to check some of our videos on that. All right. The carrying capacity of a habitat is reached when the population growth begins to remain steady. So we call it a climax. This answer, climax community. Like a particular place whereby all the organism, what's it called? The organisms there are already, meaning all of them have, the number of organisms are not too much anymore. It has reached its capacity. All right, like no more expansion, so to say. All right. The abiotic factor that control human population, abiotic will be flooding and earthquake. Flooding and earthquake. All right. Other ones will have been correct, but disease is not. That's biotic in nature. All right, because it's caused by pathogens, and pathogens are living things, really. Moving on. Now, an indigenous, which means an old pattern, method of renewing and maintaining soil is by what? By practicing crop rotation and shift cultivation. Crop rotation is like before you use this land, you use particular land to, let's say you have lands like this, you have lands like this, lands like this. So this year you planted a shallow rooted crop here, then same year you planted deep rooted crop here. So then you planted shallow here. So when another year comes, you're probably going to plant deep rooted here, shallow rooted here, so that the nutrients are not sucked at the same way. And when you say shifting cultivation, let's say this year you planted here, the next year you go to another land to plant here, so that when you are here, this other one that you left behind is replenishing or getting its nutrients, so that you don't overuse the nutrients. So the answer again is crop rotation and shifting cultivation. Now it says here, the disease caused by a waterborne pathogen includes gonorrhea is STD, poliomyelitis is a nerve kind of that destroy the nerves, typhoid and syphilis. Syphilis is STD, typhoid is, but the two of them that's wrong. The answer is actually cholera and typhoid. Yes, typhoid and cholera, which is D. This is also waterborne, but tuberculosis is airborne. So the answer is D, typhoid and cholera. Typhoid is caused by Salmonella typhi, while cholera is caused by Vibrio cholerae. Those are the pathogens that causes that. Tuberculosis is caused by Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Syphilis is caused by Treponema pallidum. The gonorrhea is caused by Neisseria gonorrhoeae. And poliomyelitis is caused by a virus. I'm trying to remember the name. Something Zoster, so I'm not so sure about that at the moment, please. All right. Now, which of the following is true in blood transfusion? Well, I think this is a major thing student needs to know. So I might want to first explain some few things to you before we answer the question, which you might actually really want to answer that question from the explanation. Now, the point is, these are the 4 blood types we have in the ABO blood group formula or type. So we will see it here that we have okay. So these are the red blood cells of different human beings or different blood groups. So on the surface, on this surface, like I'm just putting that arrow there, you have what we call the antigen. So the antigen is present on the surface, while antibodies or antibodies are present in the plasma of those people. For easy remembrance, I used to put it like, I would say like inside of the red blood cell, but which means the plasma. But here this. So this antigen, so when you have antibody, so antigen A, you're going to have the opposite antibody, so to say. So you can see this is antigen A, so it's having antibody B. This is antigen B in the blood group person that has blood group B. This antibody A. This is somebody that has blood group A and B. So it's having both antigen on the surface. You can see antigen A, antigen A and antigen B there, but you don't have antibody. And this other person here, blood group O, does not have antigen at all on the surface, but has both antibody. This is the law, which this was discovered by someone called Lastena. Now, Lastena put on this theory that you cannot have the same antigen, let's say antigen A, and have antibody A in the same person. It's impossible. It's wrong. That's why you saw that someone having blood group A has antibody B. All right. So it's a law. The moment there is antigen A seeing antibody A, there will be agglutination or clumping. So that's why in nature, none of them has the two of that together. It doesn't work that way. The moment the two of them meet, there will be problem. So now let's get some things right. Let's see how it works. Now let me say it here. This, okay, as you move down this arrow, these are donor, these are recipients. All right, this is what I used to do, tell my students. Let me try and see if I can do that here. So this person is blood group O that wants to give to another blood group O. So what I normally do is, what you should do is, I'm going to do it this way. So this is someone that has blood group O, and blood group O doesn't have any antigen outside, so there's nothing outside his blood like that, nothing. But they have an antibody. They have two of the antibody, so they have antibody A and B inside. So this is what happens, and he wants to give someone that has same blood group as himself, like O to O, and O has antigen A outside and antigen B outside. But hear this: What you should know today is when you are talking about blood transfusion, the antigen, the moment you give someone, you give your blood to somebody, the antigen on the surface of your red blood cell will go and look at the plasma of the person. Is there anything, I mean, when I say plasma, or the plasma of the person, is there anything in that person's blood that has what looks like me? What am I saying? Is there any A? If this person's blood group, okay, don't worry, you still understand now. So, okay, let's assume that this person's blood group A. And what will happen is antigen, which is on the surface, will go to look at the plasma. Is there anything in this person's plasma that's having the same name like myself, which is it having A like myself? If it does, there will be agglutination. If it doesn't, there's no problem. So in this case here, this is someone that has blood group O. It doesn't have any antigen at all. So when it comes here, well, there's nothing to look for, really, because antibody is blood group. Someone that has blood group O doesn't have, so it has both antibodies. Sorry, I think something mixed up there. Coming. Okay. Let me take that part again. Okay. Now, what happened is someone that is blood group A, so blood group O, which is this person. So I normally do this way. I'm going to put blood group O up here. That wants to give to another blood group O. So that both blood group O. So from what we've learned, it doesn't have any antigen outside, but has A and B inside. So it doesn't have nothing outside, but has A and B inside. So what we should know is that when you are giving somebody your blood as a donor, it is your antigen. So this is the donor, I put the D there, this is the recipient. So your antigen will go and look at the donor's antibody. Now, the question here is, blood group O does not have anything to look for anything, no antigen at all. So there's no agglutination. You can receive it, that's why I say none. So that means for blood group O, it can give to A, B, and AB. Why? Because all of them have antibody inside. For blood group O, okay, sorry, for blood group A, it's going to have, let's say blood group A, now it's going to have antibody B. If you are confused, just rewind the video and come back to what I explained on this part here. So for blood group A person is going to have antibody B. Now, as usual, the antigen, of which there's nothing here, will come here and look. There's nothing to look for anything. So in that regard, it's going to, so for that reason, because there's nothing on the surface of, there's no antigen to look for any antibody, it can give his blood to everybody because there's nothing. But the moment, let me give an example of the ones that cannot work so that you probably understand what I'm trying to say. Now, let's assume somebody is blood group A. Being blood group A means we're going to have antigen A outside and have antibody B inside or in his plasma. Then he wants to give his blood to blood group B person, which is going to have B outside and have A inside. Like I told you, the blood group, the antigen goes there and goes in. Wow, there's an antibody that have the same name called A. Just the same letter, once it's the same allele, AA, there's going to be a problem. So that means this is a no-no. So there will be a clump. Let me look for that. So A person cannot give to B. Can you see that here? So where is that? A giving to B. This is B here. So this is an A person giving to a B person here. There will be problem because they both have, because of the antigen, we're going to see antibody A there. Hope that is clear enough. Just rewind the video a little. It's going to become more clear, and try to practice this by yourself. Moving on. Then it says here, a yellow maize is planted and all the fruits obtained of yellow seeds. Then when they are crossbred, yellow seed and white seed are obtained in a ratio. The yellow is said to be dominant. Actually, that means for the yellow to show, it's dominant. All right, hope that is clear. I think I've explained this before. Now it says here, when a colorblind woman marries a carrier woman, what is the probability of the offspring being colorblind? I think I'll have to do a little explanation here. Quickly listen. This might take a little while, but I think it's gonna worth it. Now, for someone, when we say colorblind is X-linked. That means it's present on X chromosome. Now, bear in mind that females have two X chromosomes, so they are homozygous, while males have XY, we are heterozygous. Now, a female is, they fall in three categories when you're talking about X-linked gene. Now, let me put a C here. This C means that this person is having a trait of color blindness. Now, because it is only one X that is having that, it's only one X chromosome that has that issue, this normal X chromosome can correct the mistake. So anyone that has something like this is called a carrier, because it's only one X chromosome that has the disease. So the person will not show on the person, it will not manifest on the person, because the X chromosome has it. The normal chromosome will suppress the effect. Then for a woman to have a sex or X-linked disease, the two X chromosome must have the issue, like that, CC. And this is a normal person, doesn't have anything. So for X-linked traits, we have three categories for female. They can either be normal or have it, like they have the disease, or they are colorblind, as the case may be, or they are carrier. Bear in mind that a carrier is only having the traits in one of the X chromosome. All right. While a male is always going to be having the disease or is normal. Why is he having the disease? Because he only has one X chromosome. The Y is not the same as X, so it cannot correct like it corrected in the carrier person. So now the question says, when a colorblind man, so when we say colorblind, let's do it here. So colorblind, the man has it already. Like I told you, see, that is normal or he has it. There's not like color carrier. Marries a woman that is a carrier, XCX. So this means she's a carrier. She's only having it on one of her chromosomes. So let's see what happens. Let's cross that out. XC. So that's going to be XC. Then first X with second X going to be XC. And X, yes. So the first, so then now let's cross this now. It's going to be X, C, Y, then X, Y alone. I decided to put X first just to make it easy. So if you look at this clearly, this is a girl or a female. It's another female. All right. Now, if that is correct, from our analysis, this person is having the disease like the mother, like the one, so not like the mother, like the one I told you earlier on. So this one person, a female, has it. This one is what? I guess you mentioned a carrier. Yes. Why is he a carrier? Because he's having it on one X chromosome alone, not the two. This is a male. He has it. All right. This is a male. He doesn't have it. I already explained why to you. This one has only one X chromosome, so it's going to show. This one doesn't get it at all. Now, bear in mind that when a man has an X-linked disease, he's going to give it to his daughter, while if a woman has, it's going to go to the son. Because as I am now, I got my X chromosome from my mom. So if my mom was going to were to have an X-linked trait is going to come to me, all right, because I got my Y from my dad. An X-linked trait and on Y chromosome is on X chromosome. So it says, what's the probability of the offspring being color blind? Well, this is color blind as a female, this is color blind as a male. So there are two, that's 50%. All right. So one boy is having it, one girl is having it. Don't forget that for a female or girl to have it, the two X chromosomes must be affected. All right. So that's the answer. Rewind the video if you have to do that, please. Now, the correct base pairing for DNA is, okay, this is a DNA strand. I'm drawing the two strands like that. So these are the backbones, which are made up of phosphates and deoxyribose sugar. Then in between, you have something called nitrogenous base, which are grouped into purines or pyrimidines. The purines are the adenine and guanine, while the pyrimidines are the thiamine and, oh, I think I have a picture for this instead of having to do that. Yes, please, sorry, I actually forgot this. Now, so this is the backbone, this is another backbone. So in between, you have what we call the nitrogenous bases. So these nitrogenous bases, the law is that all the adenine and the guanine are actually called purines, and all the thiamine and the cytosine are called pyrimidines. The law is that adenine will bind with thiamine, so that's going to be A to T, and the guanine will bind to thiamine, that's going to be C to G or G to C, either way. So that's what you're having here. So you're having C to G, then A to T, which makes option A correct. A to T, C to G, or G to C. Now there's something I want to add here. Always remember that between A to T, you have only 2 hydrogen bonds, while between C to G, you have 3 hydrogen bonds that holds them together. All right, you can actually see that here. These are 3. This is just 2 there. All right. So this is, now let me say it again. Let me do this little revision some more. That this is a nucleotide. Nucleotide is made up of one. This is a nucleotide that I'm just cycling as it's been circled before. It's made up of the phosphate group, deoxyribose sugar, and one nitrogenous base. So this is a nucleotide. This is another nucleotide. This is another nucleotide. So these are nucleotides. So that's what we call, you can say that a DNA is a polynucleotide, more than one nucleotide. Don't forget, a nucleotide is made up of the phosphate group, which is this, deoxyribose sugar, and a nitrogenous base. All right. Then it says here, the short, thick beak in birds. Short, thick beak in birds is an adaptation for what? Crushing seed, actually. To suck nectar, it has to be long. To tear flesh, it has to be short and hooked. To strain muds, it's meant to be flat, so to say. Let me see if you can get good. So cracking seeds, this is what we're talking about. So it's going to be short and thick. All right. So this is for tearing meat. It is hooked there. Then drilling holes like woodpecker. All right. And you can also look at the feet here for different adaptation. This is for season prey. It's like a color, so to say. All right. And just see that for the ones that can swim, it's going to have some sort of web there, a little web or flat, so to say. You can pause the video here to see that. All right. The basking, which means staying in the heat, of a gamma lizard is in the sun is to what? Well, change the color of their body, raise their body temperature and to become active. Yes. So that's because they actually cold-blooded. All cold-blooded animals actually exhibit that in a way. Yes. So all cold-blooded animals exhibit this, which means to raise their body temperature. We call that pyokilothermic, meaning cold-blooded. So their body temperature is dependent on the environment. So when they want to get warm, they have to come out. And that is majorly seen in reptiles, majorly, and which lizard is one of them. Then the significance of a very large number of termites involved in nuptial flight is too. Like you have it here. I think I did that in one of the years too. This is nuptial flight, like a wedding flight. Provide birds with plenty food, no, ensure their perpetuation despite predatory pressure, no. Okay, yes. Then search for a favorable place to breed and ensure that every individual gets a mate. Well, it's to ensure that they become what's it called? Disperse. Now, most of them, not most of them, some of them will be eaten, or a lot of them will be eaten. So, which means lizards will eat them, birds will eat some of them, humans will kill some of them. But because they are so plenty, they will still be able to stay alive, that's it, to perpetuation despite predatory pressure, which means they will actually be eaten, but because it's saying what's the figure of that large number, so it means that they will still be able to stay alive, still be able to exhibit, establish their colonies, even though people will still get to eat them. That's it, even despite the predatory pressure. So the answer is B. The use and disuse of body parts and the inheritance of acquired traits were used to explain Lamarck's theory. Jean Lamarck's theory, yes, he was the one that said that when you acquire a trait, you can pass it on to the next generation, which is wrong because it is only character that is controlled by genes that can be inherited. All right, so but what he said was use and disuse. The person that did that was Jean Lamarck. All right, natural selection was actually by Charles Robert Darwin. All right, so the answer is B once again. From his study of Galapagos finches, Darwin derived his theory of evolution from, well, what happened actually was something called adaptive radiation, which is from divergent evolution. Now, adaptive radiation simply means like things get species, or these we get new structures or new functions from the environment. You must be able to adapt, really. And he got that from something called comparative physiology, like learning to function in a new environment. And that will actually, so really, how do I explain this? Comparative physiology means developing new functions to be able to adapt in your environment. That's called adaptive radiation, so to say. So from his finches, different beaks came from a particular species because from one particular ancestor, because they were moving towards different habitats, different kind of food that they were feeding on, and the one that was crushing seed, the one that was feeding on this, so their beak were changing in function over a period of time. That's what we call it comparative physiology. This comparative physiology, so it can also be referred to as functional anatomy, so to say. So I know you may be confused that why is it not comparative anatomy? Well, comparative anatomy is talking about different structures from different evolutionary trends, so to say. But the answer here is comparative physiology, which is like different functions coming about over a period of time. All right. Then question 40. Use the diagram above to answer this question. The organelle response for heredity is labeled what? Okay, that would be, I suppose this is going to be, there's going to be 2. That's the nucleus. I'm not sure if that is actually, the answer is 2, it's B for sure. But I'm not sure if that's nucleus or DNA or chromosome, but it's within the nucleus. It's twice in the nucleus. So let me say it here that your one is cell membrane. The 2 you already say is the nucleus or thereabout, or chromosome, I'm not so sure about that. Then 3 is mitochondrion, singular. Then 4 is your endoplasmic reticulum. Yes, this other one here is Golgi apparatus. See, the endoplasmic reticulum used to look like Golgi apparatus, but this is the difference. This is endoplasmic reticulum with, this is Golgi apparatus I'm drawing. It's like you have shells without attachment. But for endoplasmic reticulum, you're going to have something like this. There's an attachment, there's a continuity. It's like that, something like that. So that's the difference. So that's why 4 is endoplasmic reticulum, there's a continuity like that. Then number 41 says, the part label 4 is what? Well, that's going to be endoplasmic reticulum. We already saw that from what we explained. Then use the diagram above to answer this question. Transportation in the xylem is represented by what? Let me bring that in some more. Okay, all right. I told you that xylem takes dissolved minerals and water from the soil, and that's going to be 4. Yes, it's going that way upwards. It's going to be D. All right. And well, okay, let me see what, I think there's another question on this. Okay, use the arrow label to represent what? Okay, well, it represents release of oxygen. Yes, oxygen. Now this is like talking about photosynthesis in a way. Now, of course, you know that during photosynthesis, carbon dioxide, which is this one, goes in for photosynthesis. Water, H2, also goes in there. So because you know that photosynthesis is going to be CO2 plus H2O to give us C6H12O6 plus O2, which is oxygen. Of course, you know it's going to be sunlight and chlorophyll here. So, of course, 6, 6, then 6, that's just for balancing that out. Now, what that means is, so we got this from the atmosphere, we got this from the soil. And at the end of the day, oxygen is released as a waste product, which is 2. So this is oxygen, which makes, so it says the arrow represent 2, represent release of oxygen. So oxygen is going out as a waste product there. Then this other arrow, which is 1, is your phlegm transporting food. All right, that's phlegm, taking food from the leaf, which is going to be, the food we are formed is glucose, but it's going to be transported as sucrose. I think I said that in one of the other videos. Sorry. Okay. Then this one here says the embryo is usually contained in the part labeled what? So well, let's first try and label each of those parts quickly. The 1 is pointing here, so that's going to be the fallopian tube, or oviduct. Oviduct is like old English word or applied to lower animals, but it's the same thing, please. It's still fine. It's still fine. Now, so R2 is your uterus, so to say. 3 is the ovary that contains the egg, and 4 is going to be the vagina, so to say. Vagina, yes, vagina. So it's always like this. Okay, this one is the urinary bladder, but we're not going there. So I was going to say something. This is, I used to call it VCU. What do I mean by VCU? This is VCU, sorry, VCU. That's vagina, cervix. Then the U is the uterus. All right, VCU. The relevance of that is if you are asked how does sperm cell moves, it moves from the vagina number 1 to the cervix number 2 to the uterus number 3. Now, implantation takes place in the uterus, in the wall of the uterus, while fertilization takes place in the oviduct or fallopian tube. I take that again. Fertilization takes place in the fallopian tube, otherwise called oviduct, while implantation, which means attachment of the embryo to the wall of the uterus, it takes place in the uterus. All right, so it says developing is contained in the uterus, which is I think we've made this rough. Let me take that away. In the 2, which is option C. I already explained that. You can rewind the video to hear those explanations again before that became that rough. Sorry, I'm trying to show that. Then it says here the function of the part labeled 3 is to, what's 3? The 3 is, if you can remember what I told you earlier on, is ovary. So what's the function of the ovary? To produce egg cells. Yes. To produce egg cell. To produce egg cell. All right. Then it says here the highest frequency. Sorry, use the diagram above to answer this question. This illustrates what? The highest frequency for height of 2 meters, the continuous variation, the discontinuous. The answer is going to be continuous. We have 2 types of variation, and this height is actually a continuous variation whereby you have different categories, like you have midpoint is varying gradually. So that's going to be C. All right, continuous variation of character, yes, and that's height. The largest number of cassava planted has an approximated height of, okay, well, what that is saying is, let's trace this, that's 140 there, but we trace that down, I think that's 1.6 meter. All right, so that's B there. Then the type of interaction between, so the type of interaction shown is referred to as, PP, that's the same genus. They are both Paramecium aurelia and Paramecium caudatum, really. Actually, I know of this caudatum, that's what made me know it was Paramecium. Now, when you are competing with the same species or the same organism, like lizard and lizard, humans and humans, we refer to that as intra-specific competition, which makes B the answer, intra. But competing with another organism, like, or another species, another organism, like humans and goats, or humans and elephants, that's inter, like 2 different organisms, so to say, like a chicken and a lizard fighting over a cockroach or to feed on a cockroach. That is inter, because they are different organisms as it were. Then lastly here, it says here in the diagram, which of the following statement is true of the interaction? P. aurelia is better adapted for obtaining food than P. caudatum. Well, does that make sense? Okay, P. caudatum is better adapted for obtaining food than, okay, both organisms cannot coexist, cannot reproduce, no. Now, the reason, okay, why are we going to say P is better adapted? Yes, because the number of P. aurelia, if you trace this here, is higher than what we have here. So when we say better adapted for obtaining food, the more food you can make, the more you are going to stay alive and have more number of organisms. So for P. aurelia, the answer is A. It is better adapted. Why? Because the number is more. All right, hope that made sense. Okay, I think this should be the last question, really. Yes, I think these are questions I was able to put together. So I think this, I hope this has been helpful to you, and I'm going to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.